Welcome to Promoting Collaboration with Campaigns State-Based Action Coalitions. My name is Adriana Perez. Me and my colleague, Monica Harmon, who I will introduce a little later, are pleased to bring you this presentation with some of the work we have partnered in locally in Philadelphia and share this as the best practice with you. There are state-based action coalitions in every state in Washington, D.C. These state coalitions are important as they carry out the work of the campaign at the local, regional, and state levels. Advocates from the community, including representatives from health organizations, businesses, education, are members, and together they're working to build healthier communities through nursing. And several are actually focused specifically on mentoring a more diverse workforce in order to advance health equity locally through our nursing workforce. As you begin to think about your own work and are considering collaborators for mentorship, here are some guiding questions that have been helpful to us. First of all, it's important to not reinvent the wheel and take into account what is already happening both inside and outside of your organization that might impact your mentoring program. We know, for example, that the National Association of Hispanic Nurses, local chapters, and nationally have initiatives and efforts on mentoring. So what are the resources that are already in place? Secondly, in your own institutions, do you have supports in place for mentors or mentees? It's very important to have a pool of mentors to draw upon. And sometimes you can do that by also reaching out to alumni who know best how to navigate nursing as new graduates. And then lastly, consider potential challenges for collaborations. For example, in many cases, this could be related to a lack of resources or infrastructure to help support a mentoring program. How can you work around this? How can you think about these challenges at the onset of your efforts? So as I mentioned, we are happy to share lessons learned from a current collaboration between the Pennsylvania Action Coalition's Diversity Council, Lincoln University, which is a historically Black college and university, and the Southeastern Pennsylvania Area Black Nurses Association, led by my colleague, Monica Harmon. She is the president of the association, its local chapter. She's also the co-chair of the Pennsylvania Action Coalition's Diversity Council, and she's on faculty at Lincoln University. We know this is a unique strength as Monica serves as a leader who's able to connect all of these organizations and keep each one apprised of the efforts, including accomplishments and challenges. So if you could have somebody like Monica, that really is the ideal. But if not, we have some additional considerations for you as we go through our presentation. So we think of this this program as a virtual exemplar, meaning it was launched just as COVID-19 had hit. And so the program had to be turned into a virtual platform. It's called the Pennsylvania Action Coalition Cohort of Exchange Learning Mentoring Program Collaboration, or PA-EXCEL. It's funded by the foundation of the National Student Nurses Association with tremendous in-kind support from these organizations, including leaders from the Pennsylvania Action Coalition. And we want to take time to acknowledge them, including Zahara Davoud, Jennifer Horn from the Pennsylvania Action Coalition, and faculty as well from Lincoln University, who join together bi-weekly as we have worked on the implementation of the program. So the design of the program includes a cohort of 15 senior nursing students from Lincoln University. And we're happy to answer questions about the selected group of students. Because the students are getting ready for graduation, as a pilot, they were an ideal group to begin with. But there are always questions about when is the best time to introduce a mentoring program within a curriculum. In this particular design, a student mentee is matched with a professional mentor from various nursing fields for one academic year. Through this program, mentors and mentees will meet virtually And the program team itself provides helpful resources. We schedule virtual workshops, program activities. A little later, we are going to share some of the virtual resources through the coalition's website. And together we're working towards facilitating, preparing support, conducting event planning, and also working towards a comprehensive program evaluation for the future. It's important to clearly define the purpose of a mentoring program. And that is because mentoring programs differ by specific aims. And so this particular program is focused on supporting nursing students at Lincoln University by providing professional mentors during their senior year. Students can also be matched with faculty mentors, but in this case, the professional mentors serve as an added value. They can talk about real world, real life scenarios in their practice settings. The purpose is to provide a means for nursing students to obtain guidance from professional mentors, help them pass the National Council for Licensure examination, and also to provide opportunities for students to participate in at least one professional experience. That is currently what we're working on now. There are conferences, networking events. Some of this could be around COVID-19. This really provides an opportunity for us to be creative. And we look forward to sharing more once the program is over on the different types of activities that the program has provided for students. Also, another purpose is to increase the feeling of support and readiness to succeed in the transition to nursing school and or future practice. So really the ultimate goal here, as you see, that students are also encouraged to think about a 5-year professional post-graduation plan. The purpose is not only to ensure that they graduate, but that they are successful in their careers and that they think about the future, including graduate school. One of the ways to obtain buy-in from the community and support from the community at large is to highlight the significance of mentoring and this particular collaboration. Having this data supports the importance of the program when you talk to stakeholders, potential funders, supporters, and again, the community at large. Here for this collaboration, we highlight that as the US population continues to be more diverse, for example, it's 37% ethnic minority, and by 2043, we're expecting that the white population is less than 50%. We still continue to experience disparities and underrepresentation in nursing. In Pennsylvania specifically, the workforce does not reflect these changes in the demographics. The nursing workforce is still predominantly white and predominantly female. Only 20% is an ethnic minority workforce. So why? Much of this relates to the lack of support in nursing programs, again, the lack of mentorship, many other reasons cited in the literature, such as financial, emotional, moral, technical, academic, lack of academic advisement, and lack of professional socialization. There are many reasons that we can encourage current nurses to think about mentoring others. So in order to recruit a strong pool of candidates, we emphasize what the benefits of mentoring it could be to a professional nurse. We really see this as a part of leadership development. We can take pride in being part of someone else's growth and development in the nursing profession. This is really what we could see as our legacy, what we leave behind, our contributions, our service to the profession. We learn about our own selves as we become mentors and through the questions of our mentees. You have an opportunity to develop a relationship with a new person who will soon be your colleague. There's such great satisfaction that comes from sharing your knowledge, your experiences to help others succeed. There's opportunities to practice real important skills such as listening, giving feedback, helping others that are struggling with issues and making choices. You really are able to put in place the skills that you learned through nursing school, but that you might not always get a chance to practice. You can also learn how to give feedback to others, sharing your own experiences to facilitate their growth. And I think this is something important for all of us. It's a chance to inspire others to be mentors while practicing mentoring. In other words, think of the students you're mentoring or the new graduates you are mentoring as someone who will in turn mentor others. We, in this way, continue to create a culture of mentorship, build a culture of mentorship, I should say, and really begin to change our workforce. And before I turn it over to Monica Harmon, I just want to share a little bit more background about her. You heard me talk about her current positions, but also she has been a nurse for almost 20 years. She's from Philadelphia and is currently practicing at Thomas Jefferson University. She has received her education, her BSN and her MSN from Thomas Jefferson University. So she is an alumna. She has a master's in public health from Drexel University. I had the pleasure of working with her at the University of Pennsylvania. Monica obtained her associate degree from the Community College of Philadelphia and also is currently in school. So she brings a wealth of knowledge. She's a leader. She has public health background. And as I said, she currently serves as a mentor in our cohort, so can talk very intimately about the program, its expectations, its timeline, and share some current lessons learned. So Monica, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Perez. It is indeed my pleasure and my honor to share with you about the Pennsylvania PA Excel program. It has definitely been a labor of love, but one that we do not take lightly. It is definitely a program that is ever evolving. So if I had to give just a piece of advice to you as you are developing your own programs, that is to just be flexible, be patient with yourselves, always be ready to evaluate and reflect again, and just know that trust the process and you will get the outcomes that we will talk about that you want to see for your program. So how our program kind of started, you heard a bit about kind of leveraging our collaborations, if you will. I'm always one to connect my collaborators. So yes, as adjunct faculty at Lincoln, we saw a need for the students for mentoring, and particularly professional mentoring as they are going into nursing. What we found is that because the program is fairly new and our students are still figuring it out and how to be a nurse and how to be a nursing student, that there were some challenges in terms of making sure that our students transition successfully to that professional role. So we developed this program with that in mind. And notice that we kind of developed the program with what the program needed. And so I will encourage all of you to really, interview current students, past students, your faculty, to get at what is the root and what it is that you really need for your program. Again, for Lincoln, it was transitioning our students from nursing students to the professional nursing role. So we did have the orientation meeting first. So that was the first meeting between the mentors and the mentees. I will tell you that we had to reflect and pivot and shift because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We were supposed to have an in-person meeting of the mentors, mentees. That could not happen. So what we decided to do was to first have the mentees kind of virtually meet. They got a chance to meet the program coordinators, myself included, just to kind of talk about what mentorship is, how to develop that relationship with your mentors, right? Because our mentors are all highly busy and just wonderful individuals to give their time. But we also recognize that our students had some skills, we'll call them the soft skills, to kind of develop as they were moving into their roles. And we also then had a meeting with our mentors as well, because again, we wanted to orient them to what mentorship is and is not, as well as making sure that they understood what the expectations were. And we did ask for our mentors to commit to be connected to our program for at least a year. Once we had that initial meeting, we then tasked the students, the mentees, with reaching out to their mentors. So again, we're helping them to develop them as professionals, where you reach out, you have a plan, you try to come up with a mutually agreed upon time. Also, what I should mention is that we matched the students with their top 3. We wanted to initially do a meet and greet speed dating kind of event where the students and the potential mentors would meet. Unfortunately, we were not able to do that, but because of our wonderful in-kind support from Zahara Dawood, she developed a fabulous booklet with the mentors' pictures and just some questions that were pointed to the mentors, particularly, what do you offer in a mentor relationship? What is your career trajectory, excuse me. And the students were then able to pick their top 3. And that's how the program coordinators were actually able to match the students with their mentors. Once the mentee reached out to the mentor, the relationship began and they started to build the post-graduation plan. With our plan, we made sure that the students, we gave them a specific timeline to reach out. We also had some questions to kind of help them to develop how the relationship will go, how you will meet, what are your suggested communication modalities, and really how is this mentorship train going to run. We also have plans for the student to attend professional development activities throughout the program. So some of the events that we have is Black Nurses Day on Capitol Hill, which is always annually the first Thursday in February. And we will have our students go. What it is that the National Black Nurses Association, we have a policy day, which will look very different this year in a virtual world. But typically we have our policy day, we meet with legislators from our states, and we develop plans where we will actually continue advocacy in our home districts. So we will include the students in those activities. We also have a Mosaics Conference that the Pennsylvania Action Coalition Nurse Diversity Council sponsors as well. And what that conference looks at is how does nursing advance healthcare and health equity through diverse populations, through diverse practitioners, all making sure that healthcare is equal and equitable in Pennsylvania. And then, of course, we are planning our end of the mentoring program event. And so we will share more details with you later as it unfolds. And of course, we have our evaluations. Your programs are nothing if you do not evaluate before your formative evaluation, that initial, that kind of mid-year, and then our end of program. So just kind of looking at our initial evaluations, all of our mentees have been paired, and all with except one has regularly met virtually with their mentors. And so we're in the process of kind of problem solving. We can say that right now, all mentors and mentees are satisfied with the relationship. And we're still, of course, looking at the data to see some lessons learned from there. We are getting ready to go into our mid-year evaluations. And then, of course, our end of program will be May, June. So that will give us time to have our students actually graduate from the nursing program at Lincoln University. And all of our evaluations, by the way, are given online. We do expect a formal closing of the mentorship program in June of this year, 2021. And notice we put formal closing. So certainly we do encourage, if the mentors and mentees feel that it's okay to do so, to certainly connect after the program. But again, we only ask for this commitment until June of 2021. Also, We encourage our mentees to share their progress with the mentors. Did they pass NCLEX? Did they get their first jobs? And the goal is really to start to move the mentor-mentee relationship into that professional collegial relationship as well. The other piece is what I shared too, is that this is an opportunity for the mentors to what I call ment work. That is bringing the mentees into their networks as well. Okay. And one way to do that is to keep up with their progress. So our orientation, the first meeting with the mentees, the mentors, have contacted our students for the meeting, which we had October 6th of 2020. We did match the students. And then also we had developed with the help of Dr. Perez, the mentor-mentee toolkit, which were some tips and just some how-to-dos, if you will, of how you navigate that relationship. How do you prepare for the relationship? Often some of our mentors, they've never mentored before. They may have been mentored, but they've never been the mentor. So it was and then we had some who were just well-versed in mentoring. We had some that didn't realize that they were mentoring throughout their careers. And also for our mentees, for a lot of them, they also had this kind of relationship. So this toolkit was invaluable, if you will, to help our students, our mentees, and our mentors. There was a virtual mentor training, which was conducted by Dr. Roberta Waite, who has, she's from Drexel University, and she has a wealth of knowledge, particularly in social justice and issues of racism. So she developed a training for the mentors to kind of uncover unconscious bias. How do you navigate this mentor-mentee relationship? And how do you also develop the leadership styles of individuals? And this was important because Dr. Waite has this proven track record in these areas. She's also a member of the Southeastern Pennsylvania Area Black Nurses Association. But when you look at Lincoln University, one of the biggest challenges that was identified when we started the formative evaluation to develop this program is that the students at Lincoln are, because it is an HBCU, historically Black college, are either African American or of Caribbean or African descent. However, the faculty were overwhelmingly white women, and they were middle-aged. So there were some challenges with how the students were able to navigate the program. And so we had to unpack some of the unconscious bias, the implicit bias, and also helping the students to be able to navigate those issues. And then, as always, we do not develop a toolkit just for our program, but this toolkit is also housed on the Action Coalition's website, and it's under mentor resources as well. So we really are hoping that while this program is a pilot, that it will be utilized and will be sustainable and continue with Lincoln University, but that also that others can take pearls of wisdom from what we've learned as well. So of course, that first meeting, we encouraged both the mentor and the mentee to share their preferred method of contact. And so we are definitely in this virtual world. And so email, telephone, text messaging, Skype, Google. There were some other platforms that I was unaware of that I'm learning myself as well. So it's a chance for my mentee to mentor me in some of these new nuances. But it was a way for the students to develop the skill of negotiation with their mentors. We also laid the groundwork for the best times to contact, and then also setting expectations and goals for this program. And then of course, how often to meet. We also understand that every mentor-mentee relationship is different in how it functions, how eager both are in the relationship and developing the relationship. So we did not want to put limits on how often the mentors and the mentees did meet. So that was also a negotiation point that we encouraged our students, our mentees, to develop as well. And so we did suggest meeting at least once by some virtual means, but certainly we did not limit how often and how the mentors and mentees are able to communicate. We also put the responsibility on both members of the dyads to make sure that they maintain this relationship throughout the academic year. So again, we do have a variety of ways to meet. One stipulation we did make because of the pandemic is that we do encourage these meetings to be virtual. Our post-graduation plan. So our goal, again, was to help our students become professionals, nurses, and be able to move in that professional world. The school was helping them become nurses, get what they needed to pass NCLEX and to become nurses, but we had to think about what it means to be a professional for this program. And so we wanted to help them to think about what the short-term goals and long-term career-related goals could be. So we did ask that during one of the initial meetings that the mentees create a 5-year career plan that is specific to the mentees' goals. So for example, the mentees' first year of being a nurse is that they earn a certain number of CEs. They think about, or at least apply or think about applying to graduate school. They may think about what certifications they may want to look for. They also may kind of delve in and think about, okay, I need to join a professional organization, which is part of our program too, by the way, where we did sponsor memberships to the National Black Nurses Association, as well as the National Student Nurses Association as well. And the idea is that when you look at the statistics, many nurses, if they join professional organizations, they take many years to do so. But we wanted to encourage our students to do it as students. And what the hope is that we will light a fire under them and that they will continue throughout their professional careers and lives. And the interesting thing about our mentors is that many of our mentors are very active in professional organizations as well. So they further can talk to the students about what those organizations have meant to them professionally. And then also the purpose of this plan is really to build our relationship and give us a timeline and help to keep us on track. The mentor is responsible to document the progress of the plan and the program evaluation. So we kind of talked about that initial evaluation and midterm, and then of course our final. And then we also have the mentees doing the same as well. And that's basically to help us keep track, hopefully, or not, that we can problem solve if problems do arise, but also it gives us an opportunity to really see, okay, what were the impacts of this program as well. And then we do have in our toolkit a section on kind of setting goals or goal setting, and that's SMART goals. So SMART goals help us to establish a SMART strategic plan. And so we want to think about, are your goals specific? Do they meet objectives? Are they measurable, right? So can we measure progress towards this goal? Are the students, for example, do they have a timeline on when they will take NCLEX after graduation? What's the study plan for a positive NCLEX result? And then, again, how often will we meet throughout the program? Are the goals specifically achievable, right? Like realistically achievable. How relevant are the goals, right? I mean, it could be a goal that is not relevant to their career goals. So we want to make sure that we're on target. And also, what is the timeline? It should be time-based. Is it every week? Is it a month later? Is it a year down the road? And again, making sure that all of our goals are SMART. Our evaluation, is process and outcome driven. All right. So again, we have our mid-year and our end of year. So for our mid-year, we want to make sure that we have clear program expectations. So again, we're looking to make sure that the mentors and mentees are communicating regularly, that neither side is over-promising and under-delivering. We're looking at the relationship. So again, I told you about being flexible earlier. We had to think about how this mentor-mentee relationship develops in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. We had to shift and pivot many times to make this program a reality. So just as COVID-19 has impacted, I think, all of our lives, we also now have to think about how COVID-19 is impacting our mentor-mentee relationships. Lessons learned so far. So definitely we've learned a lot of lessons, particularly communication, meetings, the program staff. We meet every other week, bi-weekly, to kind of discuss the program, look at the evaluations. Because we have so many entities working together, there are some challenges with rules, and we have a grant, so we have to make sure that we have fidelity to the grant, and to the funds. And so that was something that we had not thought about initially, and how much work. We had some hiccups with our program. Certainly Lincoln's program had changed leadership while we were in the midst of planning the program. So we weren't sure if the new program director would be on board. We also had some issues with the university, which we were able to overcome, thankfully. And then of course, the Action Coalition, thankfully, they have given us so much in-kind support just with the technical issues. So just these collaborations and leveraging them, I would say that's one of the biggest lessons that we've learned so far. The post-graduation plan, we're kind of looking to see if those plans have changed from the initial start of the program through the middle and then the end, of course, and then any additional resources that we had not thought about. Because of this pandemic, we really had to think differently. We had very many grand ideas, but we did have to kind of, again, shift and pivot. In terms of the end of the year, we decided that we would look, we would stratify between the mentee and the mentor, and what those outcomes look like. So for the mentees, were we able to get them to conferences? Were we able to help them to professionally network at these conferences and other special events? And the NCLEX pass rate, were we effective at all, on this pass rate? As I told you, Lincoln is a fairly new program, so it certainly has had its challenges with NCLEX passage rates. So we're hoping that our mentors will have a positive impact. If nothing but sharing some of our challenges, and I say our because I am a mentor as well, but also some of our successes and some of our kind of, I wish I knew when, but that we're sharing now with our mentees. We're also looking at graduation. So will Lincoln have 100% graduation of those seniors that we're working with? Employment rates, how quickly can these graduates become employed? And then also, are we having an impact, if you will, on increasing confidence and making sure that these students feel supported? As Dr. Perez shared earlier, some of the things that we learned as we look at students who represent ethnic minorities is often they do not feel supported. And so that's supported not only financially, but socially, and of course, professionally as well. So was this an opportunity for us to have a positive effect on these students feeling more support? Okay, and particularly support that is not tied to their academics as well. So often you may share, depending on how close you are with your faculty, you may not share everything, but you may share more with your mentor, because that's a safe space to be open and talk it through. For the mentors, we want to look at how satisfied our mentors were. So our mentors have also given us in-kind dedication to this program. We are not paying them. We do have some gifts of Lincoln University swag that are coming their way. We did have an opportunity for them to attend some conferences, but we wanted to make sure that our mentors were satisfied. As Dr. Perez said earlier, many people become mentors because truly they want to give back. They want to be of service to their profession. I can speak for myself personally. I remember what it was like to be that college student who had no healthcare experience, wading my way through. And I do believe that there were some challenges and some hurdles that I could have gotten over, or at least gotten through quicker, had I had some mentors that I trusted. And so this is an opportunity, I think, for some of us as mentors to kind of right some of the wrongs that maybe were visited upon us when we were transitioning from that nursing student to the professional nurse. This is also a chance for the mentors, right, to develop their leadership skills too. You know, so whether that's that networking that I talked about earlier, where the mentor says, come on, you know, come to this conference with me, or come to this work thing with me, and to understand a bit about what I do as a professional. It's also new knowledge. So, you know, while a mentor has much knowledge to give to a mentee, I think because the mentee's eyes are fresh in a way that they may look at the world and look at nursing and healthcare differently, I think too, it challenges us as mentors who've been in the profession a long time to think differently too, if you will. You know, so I enjoy talking to my mentee about, you know, what she is seeing, you know, in terms of healthcare, and, you know, how does she feel even going into this new career as well. And definitely it does increase your confidence, because you're like, wow, I am pretty special. I do know some things. Dr. Perez.
Thank you so much, Professor Harmon. That was excellent. A lot of great details and pearls of wisdom. Here, we just want to show you a screen of the program resources through the Pennsylvania Action Coalition. Many of these were mentioned through Monica's presentation. And we just want to also point out that many of these resources are available now through the Center to Champion Nursing, and will be available to you as well. Webinars like cultural humility, self-reflection, multicultural training, and many others. So these are available to you. We don't want you to think that you have to start from scratch again. And it's an example of how resources are organized in this program. And as we wrap up, we just want to leave you with some words of encouragement and inspiration. I love this saying about mentorship because it's really about growing our own. If you want 1 year of prosperity, grow rain. If you want 10 years of prosperity, grow trees. If you want 100 years of prosperity, grow people. This is about making a long-lasting impact to our workforce, to our profession, and ultimately to the communities that we serve. We have to grow our own and take care of our own future nurses and future leaders. They become the best legacy and should be lifted and encouraged and really thought of as our own contribution, as I said. So we hope that you go out today and you grow our future nurse leaders, and you grow them in a way that you think of their success as your success. And thank you so much for listening to our presentation. Muchas gracias. We look forward to joining you in this next segment, hearing about your goals and being of assistance to help you brainstorm and problem solve as you think about your plans and your goals and potential challenges ahead. Know that you're not alone. You have colleagues like us to support you, and we look forward to working with you.